Hey guys, this is Woodshop Junkies, and today I'm going to try and get the most out of my ordinary handheld belt sander. One of the harder parts of working in a small shop is accommodating large stationary machines like sanders. By making a holder for this one, I hope to an extent, find a usable substitute for such machines. The holder would need to allow me to use my sander in multiple sanding positions, while incorporating a fence would allow accurate sanding at a variety of angles. But considering the lockdown and my material shortage, I've designed this project to be as simple as possible. Okay, so my first objective is to securely cradle the belt sander without obstructing things like the trigger or the dust port. Okay, so I want the process of adding and removing the belt sander from the jig to be as effortless as possible. So I drilled this flush base hole over here, and into it I'm going to install a dowel. This is going to allow me to simply hook the handle of the belt sander underneath it when adding or removing it from the jig. I then chamfered the edge of the cradle to act as a bit of a lead-in when the belt sander is being placed in it, and then finally I added a T-nut over here, but I'm going to be adding a few T-nuts, so I'll explain more about it when all of them are installed. It is also important that the cradle keeps the belt sander at a right angle with relation to the base. These two pieces are to assist with that function. So now I can add the other side of the cradle, but before I do I need to make cutouts to gain access to the dust port and the trigger. Right, so that's the fixed part of the cradle pretty much complete with all the relevant cutouts. I also added this block, which I made by simply layering 3 pieces of 18mm or 3/4 inch plywood together, then simply cutting it to size and once again adding in chamfer to act as a lead-in. My final step in securing the sander is going to be adding a latch mechanism to the bottom here that I can simply engage when the sander is inserted. For the first half of my latch, I made up these pieces, which I'm not going to go into too much detail about because I followed very much the same procedure as I did with the top of the cradle. The only noteworthy difference is the addition of these holes, into which I'm going to install bolts like this to act as the pivot points for my latch. For the other half of the latch, once again very similar, but this time I secured the dowel with screws and I added this part here to strengthen it a bit because I'm only going to be engaging the latch at this end. Okay, so I'm now faced with a bit of a dilemma which I failed to anticipate, which is the power cord preventing engaging of the latch. So I'm going to try and modify it to a point where I can feed the power cord through before placing the belt sander in the jig, but if that doesn't work, I'm going to have to redesign and remake the second half of the latch. So the latch is engaged and it's not really 100% the way I would have liked it, but at least the belt sander is secured, and in this position I can already start using the jig or get some usability out of it. But to increase the functionality even further, I need to add a fence. The fence is assembled in two parts, with this one fixing to the T-nuts I installed to the base earlier. This allows the fence to be changed between this position and this position. The second part of the fence also attaches using T-nuts so that the angle can be changed, and this 1/4 inch layer of plywood is to elevate it slightly past the edge of the belt sander. The sander can now be used in this or this position, with or without the fence, but not yet in a vertical position. To do so, I would need to make quite a large addition to the current design to act as a base and keep the jig in its vertical position. But this addition would need to be added in a way that wouldn't obstruct the use of the sander in its other two positions. I figured the simplest and easiest way to achieve this would to be instead add a French cleat and suspend the entire jig from my French cleat wall. But that's pretty much it. Despite a small hiccup, I think it turned out alright. But let me know what you think. Is there anything you would have done differently? Then I often get questions about the equipment I use, like my countersunk drill bits, or in this case the T-nuts and knobs. Most of these items are added to my Amazon affiliate storefront, so if you have any inquiries you can go check it out there. The link will be in the description of this video. Remember, if you want to see more small shop improvements and you are not subscribed yet, you should do that now. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Till next time, cheers.